Good afternoon, everybody. Today in the studio, we have the man of many, many talents and my good friend, Clayton Q. Welcome, brother.
Hey, brother. Thank you so much, James.
Just to tell you a little bit about Clayton, he has led a career in music since his high school days of playing in a local pub for tips. It's a crazy place to get started. And these days, after having nearly 2 decades tenure as a touring Nashville recording artist, he has shared the stage and TV screen with some of the music industry's biggest artists all across the board. You're talking Kid Rock, Gretchen Wilson, John Rich, Darius Rucker, Keith Anderson, all the way over to Def Leppard, Winona, Billy Idol, Walker Hayes, and the list continues. I hope we all walk away from this interview knowing a little bit more about the man, the myth, and the legend, Clayton Quisenberry.
Man, I don't know how I can even speak after that intro.
I think you're going to find it pretty easy to meander through this interview.
Yeah.
All right. So first things first, can you share the story of how your performance at the local pubs in Kentucky influenced your career?
Well, I really have to credit going back even further influence in my career than local pubs. There was one in high school. It was called the Tradewater Cafe. I went to high school in Dawson Springs, Kentucky, a little small town, right? 62 in my graduating class. My uncle was a local barber. And, excuse me. And the reason I went down there to that school, my parents thought I would get a good education in a smaller town. And my original stomping grounds from where I was from, am from Muhlenberg County, Kentucky. And that's Graham, Kentucky. So I kind of claim both Muhlenberg County and Dawson Springs, Hopkins County, Kentucky, my stomping grounds, as a youth. But going back even further, my parents would gather around my grandma's rocking chair at a little 3-room house that was probably 500 square foot or less. Every Sunday night after church, every holiday, anytime there was a chance that the whole family could get together. We're talking 25, 35 people sitting down in chairs, older folks sitting down, younger folks lining all the walls, and there's guitars and a banjo and dulcimers and mandolins, and they're singing I'll Fly Away and Will the Circle Being Broken and Tom T. Hall. And so really growing up with my parents singing together and watching my families, sing and perform, I thought everyone's family did that. So I grew up in that environment.
That's really interesting to see how music differs from big town to small town.
Yeah.
No matter where you're at, it really brings, I feel like, the best out of most people. And it's cool to see it where like your whole family and upbringing and the town and everybody come together around.
So it was really, I was brought up and I was bred in it. And fast forward to high school, my uncle always having a guitar at the barbershop. And of course, I played sports in school, played basketball. But anytime I wasn't playing basketball down at the park, I was at my uncle's barbershop picking guitar and playing for folks, and other gentlemen would come in there and pick up guitar and play. And I'm watching them, and I'm really learning how to play 3 chords in the truth more so than I really knew that I was. Watching other people play, man, they can really play good. There was not a lot of Jimi Hendrix playing. It was a lot of Hank playing, a lot of George Strait, a lot of Tom T. Hall, a lot of George Jones songs.
So you learn by watching these guys kind of play?
Watching as I'm growing youth. I'm watching these people come in at my uncle's barbershop. And then on Tuesday nights, the little place, Tradewater Cafe, about as big as a studio here. And
which is massive, by the way. It's so big.
Studio behind the camera back there. And they'd have karaoke. And eventually I got to know people good enough that they were like, oh, yeah, you can bring your guitar. And I was really, really green, really horrible. But people were like, yeah, hey, yeah, you got to play a song or two on the guitar. And I'm playing and they're clapping, They have like a talent show at the school. I participated in it every year. First couple of years, I think I sung the tracks, songs that I liked. And then I actually, my sophomore year, I wrote a song about chicken fries in the cafeteria and I performed, and it was terrible, but it was funny.
That's
And
hilarious.
I won the talent show.
Yeah.
And so I got this trophy and like $25, you know. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make it. Yeah, chicken fries, you know. And somebody's gonna watch this interview and say, oh yeah, chicken fries. And so
Was that your first song that you ever wrote?
that was literally my first song I ever wrote in high school, chicken fries.
It's hilarious, bro.
And we'll save that song for another.
I was going to say, if I don't get to hear it, I'm going to be mildly upset.
Yeah. So, yeah, I can really credit my music career starting at my family's, my grandma's house, and at the barbershop, Dawson Springs Barbershop.
Now, in school, were you involved? I don't know what they had at your school. It sounds like it was smaller. Did they have any kind of music programs that you were involved in, or?
You know, funny you mentioned that. I was playing basketball. I really wanted to be in the choir. I sang in church, you know, with my family, and where I went to church, it was all a cappella.
Mhm.
So I wanted to be in the choir at school, and I was told that I could not be in choir.
Really?
And it's so funny that we'll talk about this later on in the interview, but a mentor and friend of mine, John Rich, probably Big and Rich,
Yeah.
was also told that he could not be in the choir. It's so funny that our stories are kind of similar like that. But I was told that I could not be in the choir and that I needed to stick to playing basketball.
Boy,
Because-
somebody had to eat crow over that.
Well, I'm sure that they are now.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, and you know, I don't going back. I'm glad, because it really made me want to push even harder when I was learning to, you know, I've got to prove people wrong, you know.
Right.
I've got to do this on my own. I was a little bit discouraged. Maybe they could have handled it in a different way or presented it to a child in a different way. It's, you know, between the ages of 16 and 18, but
Right.
still in adolescence. But that was, you know, I went to a great independent school, grades kindergarten through 12. It was a great small school, got a great education there. But, you know, still I wanted to sing and participate in those activities and stuff, and wasn't able to. So I had to stick to playing the guitar.
Well, it's a blessing that the
Yeah.
Lord provided you the outlets he did,
Yeah.
so that was still growing and developing within you, even if it wasn't how you wanted it at that time, right?
Well, let me tell you, it is, because I was watching this an interview from someone else, and they were talking about something else, UFC or something. And guy would call his boss and say, "Hey, we run up against this obstacle and this happened, and now we're not going to be able to do this." And his response was good. And something bad would happen, and he would say, "Okay, good."
Yeah.
And so every day, finally, the employee called the boss and said, "You know, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say good. Why do you say that?" And he said, "Well, if that didn't happen, good. It gave us more time to focus on making it happen. If you didn't get that job, good. It gives us more time to focus on the next job. If you failed and you lost whatever it was, good. It gives you the opportunity to learn." And I really learned that from a young age. I really thought about that concept.
Well, it's all about changing your mindset.
Yeah.
If you speak positive into a situation, then it
Right.
will inhibit positivity. Whereas if you speak negative into something, like in your case, you had someone negatively telling you,
Yeah.
you should not do that, you know, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, that you probably resented that, I would assume, you know?
I guess, yeah, a little bit. But, you know, I had a great upbringing. I had great parents that
Yeah.
taught me different ways of thinking
Mhm.
about being positive. And my dad told me at that time, I said, "Dad, I wanted to be in the choir. I wanted to sing." He said, "Buddy, don't worry about that. If they said it's not, you can't do it, that means, you know, it's impossible. If they say it's impossible, that means impossible for you. It's impossible for them." I said, "Dad, they're in the choir." He said, "Yeah, but maybe that's all they'll ever do. You're going to do a lot better things. You just keep at it, you know."
Boy, let me tell you, your dad
To have that kind of support.
was wise beyond his time.
Yeah, he was.
Well, I'll tell you, you were raised by a good one, and it shows, because you were as top notch, you know,
Thank you.
as they come. All right, so let's lead into, how did that lead you into your first performance at this local pub? How old were you when this happened? Was it something that you were pushed into?
Yeah,
or-
no. I wanted to. I performed at the talent show, like I said, the tracks.
Yeah.
And then I think I sang, I liked Uncle Cracker. I think I sang Follow Me, right?
Yeah.
It was cool. I was a young kid, 16 years old. I'm actually the new kid at that school. And got to hanging out with a couple other guys that play guitar and stuff. Like I said, I played barbershop. And eventually I said, I want to perform at the Tradewater. And they let me bring my guitar. It wasn't acoustic electric, but I had my strap and I stood up there and played not Chicken Fries, but I think I played another song.
That was my next question.
Yeah, I didn't play Chicken Fries. I didn't actually write that song until like my junior year, right? So
that's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, I performed at the Tradewater, and a woman come up, an elderly woman, and she put down $2 right there on the table. She said, "Here you go. Here's your tip." And I'm like, "Wow, I just made $2. Like I can buy, I can go on 2 dates with this.
That's
I can
big
buy
money,
gas and a meal.
Yeah.
Excuse me there.
How many people do you figure were at that show?
I would say show. I'd say karaoke, but there was probably 30 people in the restaurant. Everyone signs up to sing. They love to sing. It was a great time because everyone clapped for everyone. It was a dry city. So everyone was paying attention.
Yeah.
Everybody's drinking.
That's a good crowd.
Everybody's getting drunk on Coca-Cola and Pepsi,
tonic
chicken
water.
Fingers,
That would have been the best place for your chicken.
It was.
Song.
And I think I did end up singing it at one point. I did end up singing it. But my first real performance, I performed there in high school, but my first real performance wasn't until I came to Nashville when I was 18. And I was on an independent show that they filmed at Opry Mills Mall. And you got to showcase.
That's cool.
And of course, I sang some cover songs, right, that I enjoyed singing. And I met a man that said, "Hey, you got a good voice, but you need some of your own songs, So I had written a song called "One for You, One for Me." It was only pressed on CD at the time. It's never been released digitally. And this year, 2024, I'm going to re-record it.
There we go.
Yeah. So, and we can talk about the producer. He comes back around throughout my career. And we talked a little bit about that off camera a little bit ago, but he was at a certain place playing guitar.
That's pretty cool.
And I'll talk about that later, but.
All right. And so something that was in your bio and we had briefly talked about before the show, I know at some point in your career, you had shared a stage with Kid Rock and Gretchen Wilson. Do you care to elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it was about 2017. Kid Rock was having what he called the Kid Rock's Fish Fry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 2017, 2018, so 2017. And he had out at a big property off Whites Creek, North Nashville. He had come to Nashville and he had bought this theme park that was known as Cowboy Town. And in Cowboy Town, there was a log cabin that he had turned into his party central, right? He would have after parties there. And it had a stage on the inside at one side in the corner, about the size of this room. And there was lots of people there, and I wish I had some footage of this, but when you're at Kid Rock's house, there's no pictures allowed, no videotape.
You leave your phone in the car.
I actually, so I'll tell you what happened. It was kind of funny. He gets on a stage and he's got a band and he's singing songs and people are, man, this is awesome. And it's a lot of the people that are in the VIP, people that are friends of the group, the band, people that are friends of him, neighbors, they're there. It's out on this estate. It's gated. You go in. There's a couple guys out there. Who are you with? What's going on? And I had known some people. It's kind of inside the camp. So he said, and the VIP, backstage. Hey, we're going to Cowboy Town. Everybody come. It's cool. His security detail knew that he was having a party. And so I go inside this cabin, and he's on the stage in his house. It's not like a huge stage, but like I said, it's like
his personal.
It's probably like a 12 by 20.
Yeah.
It's in a pretty nice size little log cabin, and it's a personal after party. And he's got a Hammond B3 organ over here, and he's got a drummer over in one corner, a couple guitars, a bass player. And he says, hey, anybody want to come up here and sing? I'm like, man. I said, yo, I want to sing. He's like, get up here, man. So what do you want to sing? I said, man, I want to sing Sweet Home Alabama. And so he's like, man, that's cool. I'll play keys. He goes back in the corner. He's playing keyboard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's down. I look over in the corner. We talked about this earlier in the interview. So my first time recording a song in Nashville was at this man's house named Mark Dreyer.
Mm-hmm.
He had the TV show at the mall, the showcase that I got to be on, where his studio was next to Johnny Cash's house. He's playing lead guitar. It's over in the corner playing lead guitar.
Small world.
Mark's like, Clayton, what's up, man? I'm like, yeah, all right, this is cool. So I sing in Sweet Home Alabama, right? And something that I always love to do, I have this freestyle that I wrote, which if you wrote it, it's not a freestyle, but it's like a rap that I wrote, right? So it comes to the bridge and I start rapping. And people are vibing with me and they're going, oh, it's super cool. I'm like, yeah, man, Kid Rock's playing. I'm at Kid Rock's house. He's playing keyboards. Mark's on guitar. I'm sitting here. So all of a sudden I feel an arm, piano stops. I feel an arm around my shoulder. He grabs the microphone. He says, I thought I was the only rapper in Nashville. Right? So, but while that's happening, Gretchen Wilson's, I'm like rapping, she's getting out a wad of cash out of her purse, and she just starts throwing it and making it rain. There's all this money laying on the ground. And Kid Rock, his friends call him Bob, right? Bob reaches down, gets some 20s and stuffs it in my pocket. I had a shirt with a pocket like this. So he takes a microphone and then he pulls Gretchen Wilson on stage. And he's getting everybody to say, Sweet Home Alabama, Sweet Home Alabama. He's got his arm on this shoulder. Gretchen Wilson puts her arm on this shoulder. And so he's singing, Sweet Home Alabama. And he goes, everybody's going, Roll Tide, roll. Mm-hmm. Where the skies are. And he hands the microphone. I go, So blue. Like I'm like singing. She like, Gretchen Wilson starts doing her thing. We're passing around a microphone. Here I am in the middle. I'm sandwiched in between them. I'm like, this is it. This is the high point of my career. I'm on stage.
I've Kid Rock once again.
I'm on a stage, not a big stage, but I am on stage, and it happened. And so I had given a guy my phone off to the side and said, film this. When I got off stage, he goes to hand it to me, and a security guy comes straight and says, nope. Give me that phone.
There will be none of that here tonight.
Everything had a BlackBerry. He erases everything off of it. I tried to recover it later. It was like this big. I couldn't see it, Man. So I'm like, well, this is, this is cool. And then I met another one of the band members and stuff. So I had told my band, my band had just started getting together at that point, 2017, right?
Yeah.
It's like 2018, 2019. I've told my band for years. I put in EPK, shared the stage with Kid Rock and Gretchen Wilson. And nobody ever believes me. And I'm probably in bars like, oh, yeah, you're on stage with Kid Rock, whatever, right?
Right.
So then we go to CRS Country Radio Seminar, which happens in Nashville every year. All the radio broadband programmers come in. It's a great networking event. So when I go there, I get some passes through one of our previous sponsors, PV Electronics, sponsor me some gear, right? PV is a former sponsor. They give us the passes. We go to some of the showcases, and out walks this guy named Kurt Olson.
I think later on, it must have been, and we did a couple shows in Nashville once I'd moved to. A funny story. One time Tim called me and said, hey, Kurt, he said, I need a drummer on Friday for this gig. I'm playing for this old boy. And I said, geez, Tim, I'd love to, but I got to go to Texas, and I wish I could, but anyway, so a couple days later, I look on Tim's Facebook page, and the old boy was Kid Rock, because Tim and Kid Rock are neighbors in Bentley. They're really good buddies, good friends. And at this party, Chris Stapleton was there, Lisa Marie Presley, all these different people. So I thought, wow, I
bet you were sick.
I was sick. I'm like, oh, that would have been cool. And Tim, TJ, and his son, and his wife Debbie, and Melody, great family, and super talented fiddle player and singer and comedian. And anyway, then a few months later, he called me and said he's got the Kid Rock cruise, and if I wanted to go, and that signed me up, and that's what I thought. That's how cruising would always be. But obviously, I got spoiled. Yeah. And that was amazing. Got to do some great stuff on there. So
have you done other shows with Tim and?
Yeah, I've done one of the wild parties. I played another time he called to play at Bob's house, or Kid Rock's house was. I can't remember if it was Memorial Day or whatever. One of the Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving, and he called me and I think that's where I was telling you about the party I did with Clayton. Clayton Q was there, and yeah, all of a sudden we're sharing the stage together, and it's Tim Watson, TJ Watson, and I think this was one. It was for Cindy Crawford's and her husband Randy Gerber's anniversary party, and it was so they were on stage. Cindy Crawford, not Richard Gere. I can forget his name. Great Balls of Fire. That super famous actor. Dennis Quaid. I always get Richard Gere and Dennis Quaid mixed. So Dennis Quaid's playing piano. Who else was up there? John Party, Gretchen Wilson. Kid Rock's son. We doing this. So there were always a lot of celebrities at these parties. So
now, is that the one where Clayton actually performed with Kid Rock and Gretchen?
Yes. Yep. That's yep. Yeah, and there was several. I played 3 of those parties, or 3 or 4. But yeah, and Clayton, and that's when I met Clayton. So this guy's awesome, and yeah.
Well, I tell you, just to be able to go to one of those, just be able to get up there and perform.
Yep.
It's pretty special.
Yeah. He puts on a good party.
Kurt Olson was the guy playing the drums that night, and behind him is Mark Dreyer. And again, I have been telling my band, if they knew the story, they think that I'm lying.
They're like, "Where's the footage?" You're like,
"Nobody believes you, right?"
Convenient.
So they walk out, and Kurt's like, "Yo, Clayton Q, what's up, man?" I'm like, "Hey, what's up, Kurt?" And Mark's there. He's like, "Oh, Clayton, what's up, man? What are you doing?" I said, "We're just hanging out." They said, "Yeah, we just played back the band that was, playing before Midland, right?"
Yeah.
And Kurt says, "Man, I hadn't seen you since you were on stage singing with Kid Rock." And my band was like, "What?"
Mouth hit the floor. He
actually was on stage with Kid Rock. And Mark was like, "Oh, yeah, man, he was tearing it up. They sang Sweet Home Alabama." I said, "Yeah, man, you were playing lead guitar." And he said, "Yeah, man, it was awesome. I'm so proud of you, man." I said, "Man, thank you." And so then my band never doubted another word I said.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Kid Rock, Gretchen, if you're interested to get the trio back together,
I mean, I'm telling you,
is in.
Hey, Jason Aldean, DJ Silver, Kid Rock, they're on this new tour that they're doing. And man, I'd really like to be a part of that tour somehow and just contribute to the success. But
we'll speak it into
I'm definitely a Kid Rock fan, and will support Bob to the day I die. Hey, he's a good dude. And Jason Aldean is too, man. Hey, I met Jason Aldean, Carl Black Chevrolet, when he was first starting out, and recorded him singing Hicktown, and got him to autograph my cowboy hat. It was like 2005. And so my real first performance came when I was I was 18. I come to Nashville, and they gave me the first opportunity to record a song.
That's wild. Yeah. So how did you find out about that event at the Opryland Mall? Was that something that was just kind of known at that time to the area? Or?
No, again, it goes back to my dad being my number one fan and always wanting to help me progress in my career. And he found a catalog. There's some pieces in between that we haven't talked about, but I came to college, so rented the place to stay. My parents wanted to make sure that I was, wasn't down here partying and stuff, right? So we all
Right.
got like a apartment together. And, I'm an only child. My parents were together 14 years before I was born, so they wanted to make sure that nothing happened to their baby, right?
Right.
And that used to be something that I would say, oh, I'm embarrassed to talk about that, right? But as I got older, I cherished those moments because my parents loved me so much.
Mhm.
They just wanted to make sure that I was, good. And I've always cherished that. But so my dad was walking, I was in college, I was in class. My parents were walking at Rivergate Mall in Madison, Tennessee,
Mhm.
and they saw a flyer that said showcase and be on TV in Nashville, Tennessee, right? It's like one of those, but
Yeah.
but it was a really good opportunity because I met some people there that have came in and out of my life throughout my career that I'm still connected with today. So it's
God
always been
really works
in a positive influence.
in very mysterious ways.
Yesterday I was at Johnny Cash's Bon Aqua Ranch, and the first song that I ever recorded with the gentleman that I met, his house was 2 doors down from Johnny Cash's Hendersonville house. And I didn't know this until yesterday, but I guess Marty Stewart used to live right next door to Johnny Cash. And I don't know if someone related to him lived next door, and this was his house that I was in. So I don't know if Johnny Cash had come to this house or had been, but he was right there, like
Right.
the same neighborhood, 500 feet away, 100 feet away, his front doorstep. And I thought it was really cool to be able to record a song in that proximity to Johnny Cash's house.
I mean, that's a historical area.
Yeah, it is. The whole cul-de-sac.
Yeah. All right. So looking back into your earlier years, how do you think your music has evolved since your high school days?
Well, I've always had the opportunity to continue learning.
Mhm.
And some people might say, well, they went to Nashville and they played in bars for 20 years and then boom, they made it. And that's not been my story. I hadn't played bars for 20 years. I played in a lot of bars. Played in like 1,000+ bars, probably more. I think at one point I kept up that we had played, that I had performed in about 1,600 something bars across the country.
Good grief.
And had played in 90% of the bars in Nashville that were still in business from 15 years ago. And, but coming to Nashville, I had the opportunity to see and learn and be in a different environment, like every single night. I'm like, before you're 21, you can't really get into venues and bars, right?
Right.
But something's unique about me that people came to know as I got to know through time was that I'm a non-drinker. I didn't drink when I was young. I never took a sip. And when people kind of got to know, I would go on nights like karaoke nights, these bars, right? And they would say, okay, well, he orders a Coke. He never tries to sneak alcohol. He's a good kid, Then maybe I'd be able to show up on the weekend and they'd say, security, oh, that guy's cool. Wait a minute. He's not going to.
He doesn't even drink. Like literally.
Cool, right?
Yeah.
And so then getting to know people, get up on stage, like the only 19-year-old kid in the county that's on stage at a 21 and up bar singing.
Right.
It's cool. But something that was really cool, I got to go in to, since way back, I've been a fan of John Rich, Big and Rich. And I started going to these music mafia parties, as they call them.
Mm-hmm.
Music mafia is like MUZIK, Music Mafia. And they had them like 12th and Porter, downtown Nashville. And I was going, and I would walk in. First time I walked in, nobody carded me or nothing. I was like, cool, this is cool. Next week I go to walk in, there's a guy that's like as wide as this room right here. He stops me. He's like, no, man, let me see your ID. He said, no, man, you can't get in. You're not even 21, dude. Get out of here, right? So I kind of just hung around outside for like a couple of hours. And a truck pulled up, and it's Gretchen Wilson. And she gets out, and she sits down some stuff and some bags, right? And I walk up and say, hey, girl, what's going on? And she looked at me like, should I know you?
Right.
I said,
hello?
I said, I'm here to help you carry your bags in. She's like, oh, okay, cool. She just totally like she like walks in past the guy, and he's like, hey, this kid, he can't. She's like, he's with me. He's carrying my stuff, and he's like, okay. So I told
you know, he was so mad. He's like, I'm gonna remember.
So then, like the next week, it's like every Tuesday he's having a Music Mafia party, right? John Rich is, and then I'm going back, or whenever they're like every 2 weeks, or whenever they're having it once a month, they're having it so often, and I'm going, and I see this same security guard. He's like, "Oh yeah, you're with Gretchen's crew, right?" Like, yeah,
I am.
I kept getting in. And then me and that guy became friends. And like a couple of years later, I was telling him, I was like, man, you want to know something funny? I told him, he's like, man, I kind of knew, but you seem like such a cool kid that I didn't care. He never caused any trouble, right?
Right. He didn't want to make it any more difficult than it already is for somebody to get here.
The Music Mafia parties was not like, you're going to a concert, going to a bar downtown Nashville. At that time, early 2000s, they're playing everything from the 70s to the early 2000s, modern country, Kenny Chesney, George Strait, they're playing just stuff, Reba, and they're playing all that, modern traditional country. Going to like a Music Mafia party, and they had a guy like pretty much like he was doing everything but doing a handstand on a piano. There was a guy playing drums, and then there was another guy playing bongos, and then another guy playing congas. And then John's up there, he's playing and getting wild and crazy. And then there's 2 electric guitars, and there's like a bass guitar, and he's like playing behind his head. I mean, it's just wild, right? They've got a girl over in the corner, this girl named Rachel. She's over there, and she's painting a picture in reverse. And then at the end, she turns it upside down, and it's like a Abraham Lincoln. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was I got to know a lot of the people and the musicians there. And so then I was like, man, this is wild. The music is wild, and it's like crazy. And it's a country song that they wrote, right? And you'd be like, I hear this song, but I'm hearing it in a completely different way.
Right.
And so they might take Born to Be Wild and play it in a completely different arrangement. And they're singing it like country, and then speeding up, and it's rock, and it goes back down.
And you would never experience it.
And you're like, wait a second, those are the lyrics to Born to Be Wild, or
yeah.
And it's like they're doing it in a completely, and then afterwards I was asking this guy I met, John Nicholson, right? He was part of Music Mafia. I said, how did you guys how long did it take you to rehearse? He's like, dude, we never rehearsed. We just started playing something to come off of it, and somebody starts singing a song, whatever comes to their heart. Like that's the whole cool. 3 or 4 hours they're playing nonstop. Maybe they're stopping every 20 minutes for the end of the jam, and they're just making the whole thing up as they went.
So it's just a giant jam session.
Really? So, and they were just, it was amazing. It blew my mind. So that really expanded my thinking of how people perform, it's like real performance art.
Right.
Real performance art. That had such an impact on me, even though it took me years after that, a decade or more after that, to really learn how to present myself as an entertainer. When I finally got to the stage, fast forward years later, where we're playing, I've got a band, and I started in my garage, and we're playing at shows, and I've got my own little PA system, and it's terrible. It's crappy. It's buzzing and stuff, and I'm doing the best I can. And then eventually I'm like, wait a second. I'm just like everyone else, playing these bars and venues for $400 or $500, $300. I remember at one point, and I'm getting off track here, but I even paid to go play at some venues, and took a title loan out on my vehicle to pay my band, to say, hey, we're getting paid for this gig. And I was totally paying to play the gig, because it was the first time that I had merchandise. Right. So I used my merchandise money to pay back the title loan. And then we did such a good job, we got rebooked to come back for pay next time. And so I did that probably 5 or 6 times throughout my career, to pay to play, and never told anyone, probably until this exact moment.
Well, you heard it here first. But that is an amazing story, though, really, just to help build the rapport and keep your guys interested. And, everyone motivated. Like, that's what a leader does. I'm not saying that's the best way to go about it per se, but that's what a leader does. He just takes it on his back and says, hey, guys,
I wanted it. I still want it. Oh, at that time, I wanted it so bad. I was willing to sacrifice everything that I had just to play a show that may or may not have ever impacted anyone.
Right.
Except for me. And I was
Faith.
willing to do it.
Faith, man.
Definitely going on faith.
That's wild.
Yeah.
All right. And do you think, speaking of faith, how do you think your upbringing in Kentucky has influenced your musical style, career choices, and your faith?
Well, I grew up strong in faith, like I said earlier, but maybe I didn't mention on camera. My dad is a minister of the gospel since the early 70s.
Wow.
And I grew up in the church, and I grew up watching him, lead singing and preaching and on what they call the pulpit from an early age, yay high. I grew up watching him since, I was, yay high, old enough to remember. And I was always had a strong upbringing in faith and knowing the Lord. And my musical influence, like I said earlier, we gather around my grandma's rocking chair. My parents would get together and sing too. Mm-hmm. My dad was teaching me how to play guitar, age 8 or 9. My hands were just barely big enough to reach around. He'd teach me the G chord, basic G chord, And I see my parents sing and love one another and with my family. And like I said, I thought that everyone's family did that. When I got to school, I was like, what are you guys going to do this weekend? I don't know. My parents will probably go out to eat and I'll stay home and see what I can pilfer into, I'm like, you guys playing music? I'm like, no, we play music on the radio. I'm like, you ever play guitar? What's a guitar? Like,
that's a huge misconnection.
Seriously, I was like, whoa, nobody else does this.
Wow.
And as I grew to really, I appreciated it, but not as much until I got older.
Right.
But
you were very much born for this.
Well, I appreciate that, man. So when I was playing basketball, my basketball coach, I thought it was cool to be dunking and trying to go between the legs and behind the back. And he'd say, Clayton, all that's great. But, when we go out there, this is our turf and we need to be doing our rain dance. And this is what you need. You need to dance with what brung you. All the back to the basic skills. That's what you dance with to win the game. And so like I said, I come to Nashville and I'm learning different performance styles, but the basics where I learned what they call 3 chords in the truth and the barbershop at home with my family. And the first time that I had any success with a song since I've been in Nashville was a song that had 3 chords and my version of the truth. So it's called Welcome to Nashville.
Really quick, some people out there may have never heard that before.
Right.
I actually just heard that phrase recently from Kevin Palmer.
Right.
Explain what that means to you.
The basic 3 chord structure, G, C, and D, are the old traditional style of country that had been around for 40 years, 4 or 5 decades, where all the songs consisted of just 3 chords, G, C, and D, and so many different combinations and tempos. Every song for like 40 or 50 years that was recorded in country music genre, guaranteed were just G, C, and D.
I had no idea.
So that's the traditional country standard for a country song. Progression is using G, C, and D. And the truth, meaning the 3 chords of the song, and they wrote about real life experience. Through the first generations that country music was brought to radio, the Depression was still going on.
Right.
And people were in this documentary called Country Music by Ken Burns. It's a really good documentary. And they showcase and show pictures and video and interview artists that lived through the Depression, right? Mm-hmm. And the artists that were performing were a voice of the people that were living in Depression. Right. So they were telling the truth and bringing relief, basically validating the people that were struggling, that were listening to the radio or that were the fans that were saying, wow, this person gets it. They're speaking for us.
Right.
And so they're speaking the truth to the rest of the world that might be middle class or upper class that have a radio.
Right.
Everyone in every room in a high class society may have a radio. There may have been one radio for an entire cul-de-sac or neighborhood, and everyone's over at that house listening for that song to come on that's really talking about them from the early country days. And so that's where I feel really the 3 chords and the truth term was validated.
That is incredibly interesting to me because in today's culture, there seems to be a huge divide between people who love and adore old school country and people that are more progressive and modern and like today's sound. After hearing it explained like that, I can understand why some people would enjoy the earlier version, right?
Yeah.
Because that means
They're
a whole
getting
heck of a
substance.
lot more.
They're getting substance. It's not a bunch of bells and whistles.
Right.
That they're dancing with what brung them, the basics.
Boy, if that doesn't move you, I don't know what will. I got the goosebumps over here. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. This is going to be a really difficult question to answer because I know you probably got a bunch. But what has been the most memorable moment for you in your 2-decade tenure as a Nashville recording artist? That's a tough one. That's a lot of stuff to think about.
Up until recently, I would have said a lot of different moments. I've had so many great moments, opportunities, experiences that really I felt were the highlight of my career because of the people that I looked up to. Something happened recently in my family. It was a tragedy. My father passed away. Before my father passed away, he got to attend a certain concert that really came full circle. Earlier on in this interview, you'd asked me about my first performance in Nashville, how it come to be. My dad was walking in the Rivergate Mall in Madison, Tennessee. Well, he would go walk with my mom while I was in class, and he would see William Lee Golden from the Oak Ridge Boys walking his grandson, Elijah. And Elijah was just, yay high, yay tall. Real, 3-4 years old, 5-6 years old, maybe. And so my dad would see him, hey, William Lee, good to see you today. Talk to him. Oh, hey, how's it going? And maybe, he just recognized my dad from being around the mall, They everyone loved to go walk at the mall in the daytime. It was a nice, safe place.
My grandma used to love
it. So yeah. So everyone loved going to the mall. And my dad would see him there quite often. He would tell him, oh, we saw William Lee Golden today. Hey, and I had recorded a song. Hey, we gave William Lee one of your CDs today. Oh, that's cool, Dad. And so grew up listening to the Oak Ridge Boys. We had records and albums and tapes and CDs and stuff. Super cool. I got to meet him at one point. I went to the mall. Hey, he's probably going to be there today. Let's go. And he was. I met him. I remember seeing Elijah. So fast forward 20 years later, I am friends with some people that become good friends with over the years that invited me to go to the Grand Ole Opry. And even before that, I met Elijah's father, Chris Golden, William Lee Golden's son, who was playing drums for the Oak Ridge Boys.
Yeah.
And we became good friends. So at that point, I didn't know that Elijah was his son. And he was even the interviewer for a TV show called Tonight in Nashville that was produced at the inside the Rivergate Mall at some point in my career, right? 2010, 11, 12, somewhere in there. So fast forward on, I meet William Lee Golden at the Opry. I tell him about, meeting him when I was younger and meet my dad. And I had been asked to perform a show in Manchester, Tennessee through a guy, a talent buyer named Ron Johnson. And he's a awesome gentleman, runs On Fire concerts and puts together concerts. He said, I think you would do really well with William Lee Golden's family band, William Lee Golden and the Goldens. So I told Chris about this. I was excited. He said, we're going to be at the Opry such and such night. You know, I found that I could go to the Opry. We went, and I asked him, I said, hey, could we film a promo spot for, and I'll film it on my phone and put it together to advertise our show. And he said, yeah, that would be great. And and they had just performed You Are My Sunshine that night on the Opry. And, you know, I think, I'm not sure how your upbringing was, but my mom sang me You Are My Sunshine when I was a little boy. A lot of people in this few generations, younger and older than myself, their families grew up on You Are My Sunshine.
Right.
And so we sang the first verse of You Are My Sunshine together, a cappella, the whole family. And it was Elizabeth, Chris's daughter, and Chris, and Rusty Golden, Chris's brother, and William Lee, and myself. And we sang You Are My Sunshine a cappella. And I did a promo spot as advertising for the show. And I thought that was so cool. Backstage at the Opry.
Yeah.
That's the first time I got to sing at the Opry, right? I'm like, I'm backstage, but I got to sing at the Opry.
That's wild.
It depends on how you look at it, right?
Yeah. Perception is everything.
Super cool. We have the show in Manchester. Didn't know that my dad was going to be gone less than a month after that. My parents got to come. My dad gets to, and we perform. We open for him. My lead guitarist Randy and Russell and I, we did acoustic opener spot. We commanded the audience. It was great, right? And my dad wants to go to the restroom, and I'm walking down the hallway, and someone took a picture of us with my hand on my dad's shoulder, and it's my favorite picture.
I've seen it.
I'm wearing the shirt, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to the restroom. My dad goes to the restroom. We come out. They're calling me to the stage. I'm like, oh, my dad, they're calling me in there. And my dad gets to see me on stage with William Lee Golden's arm around me on one side and Chris, his son's arm around me on the other side. And we're singing Will the Circle Be Unbroken on stage. And my dad got to see that 20 years ago. My dad was introducing me to William Lee Golden from walking in the mall, telling him about his son who sings. 20 years later, I'm on stage with William Lee Golden, and my parents get to be there. My dad gets to see that.
That is unforgettable.
That right there, no matter what happens in my life, my dad getting to witness that because he was so proud of me. My dad getting to see that and me being, my parents being there, all of us being there together, that right there is the highlight of my career, and I'll never forget that.
Well, we could just end the show now. You're not going to be able to top any, you know.
I'm not going to be able to top that, James.
That's wild, brother.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that he was able to see that, you know. Who knows what that meant to him, but I'm sure it was a lot.
Yeah, it most definitely was. He was bursting with pride, you know, and we took pictures with him with the William Lee after the show and his family band. And so he was just so happy that, oh, I told you one day you're going to be on the stage with him, you know.
Well, let me tell you, I've met both your parents on many occasions.
You have.
And they are some of the most humble, kind,
thank you,
Clayton lovers in the world. Like there is nobody else out there that you would want advocating for your cause than your parents.
You're absolutely right about that.
All right. Speaking, we've talked about this a little bit earlier with you outside the club, you know, grabbing her bags and running inside. You are really, really good at being in the right place at the right time and being able to capitalize on marketing and networking, man. What is your secret? How do you always do that? I don't know how you do it.
People say that. How do you always do that? And there's a lot of throwing pickles on the window and see which ones slide down, right? Which ones stick. And so people see the success, but they don't see the failures. And it is a point of marketing for myself. There's been a point in my career where I decided not to let people see the failures or know about them. So that way they only see me winning.
It makes sense.
And so when people only see me winning, I felt like that's a strategy that I just made up myself. I didn't learn it anywhere, but I learned from trial and error that when people see me lose, maybe, hey, okay, that's good. You know, woe is me, you know, something like that. But when they see me win and then win again and win again, then it builds my momentum and people more people come on the bandwagon, right? They want to support me more. And I learned I don't want to win people over in support by saying, woe is me, feel sorry for me. I want people to feel that they can win with me.
Right.
And so you see the successes, there's been a lot of trial and error.
Well, you're really good at speaking positivity into a situation.
Man, I appreciate that.
I feel like that's very, very important. And like you said, if people see you win and they see you win consistently and consecutively, then who doesn't want to be a part of that?
Right.
Right.
And I want people to grow with me.
Right.
Because there's enough of the pie, whatever it is, there is enough of it for everyone. And that piece of the it will be bigger if there's more people on board that are believing the same way.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Networking and marketing, man, makes the world go round.
Yeah.
All right. So you have shared stages with a very, very diverse amount of artists. How have these experiences shaped the way that you create music?
You know, the artists some of the artists earlier on that I was fortunate to share the stage with, maybe they are or not my 100% positive musical influences, but they were definitely performance influences, because the artists that I've had the opportunity to share the stage with are artists that are touring 300 dates a year. So they're going out and they're doing the same show over and over and over again. And maybe they're real energetic. They got a lot of energy. You think, how in the world can they do that over and over again? But it's like their muscle memory, right? So I started trying to think about different, like, how can they do it over and over again? Maybe their energy level for a single show is even higher, but they have learned to do it only at a certain level so they can consistently perform the same way. And I've learned a lot from that, from performing over and over and over again myself. At some point in my career, we go out for like 6 days in a row. I know that some major artists are able to only go out and do that 20 days in a row and take a day break.
Right.
And then 20 days in a row. And they've got so much of their body and mind and matter, physically, mentally, emotionally trained to do the same show over and over again for success. They're dancing with what brought them.
Right.
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 But creativity for music, and I'm sure people, I mean, I heard Kevin Palmer say this before in a broadcast and stuff, and he's absolutely right. And I've known other people, and I've experienced it where I am, man, I'm so happy to be here. You know, we're opening for, Hunter Hayes, and there's 20,000 people outside, and he's got a tour bus, and I've got a minivan with a trailer, and everyone's taking turns. There's not enough room for everybody to stand up, but there's room for one person. So everybody's taking turns going in, standing up in the van and changing. And I am, wow, like music lyrics start coming to me because it's such an emotional feeling and overwhelming to have 20,000 people screaming, and you're about to walk up there and all eyes are going to be on you.
Yeah.
When that happens, it's like channels and cells inside your body flip and do a 180. And all of a sudden your spirit and your soul is it's coming out of its shell, completely different. You're overwhelmed. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, we got this show today. Great. We get to open up. Then it's like, you're like, whoa, I feel like, I'm on something, this is crazy.
Right.
It's such an overwhelming feeling, especially the first time that happens in an artist's career, and
I can see how once you experience that firsthand, at that point, everything that you have been doing before changes because now you're driven toward that.
Yeah.
How do I get there?
How do I get there? We performed the show for free, but the promo and press we got from the one show, and I had some beginner photographer friends that came, and I got them media passes on the military base, right? They shot, it was for Fort Campbell MWR, which we love performing MWR events. we're looking forward to doing more in 2024. But this, like 2018, Hunter Hayes was the first major concert. That was the first concert where there were over 100 people in attendance that we had performed.
And
we went from 100 to 20,000.
So in my mind, if I was standing in front of 100 people, I think I would be looking at a bunch of faces, right? When you're looking at 20,000 people, you just lose count somewhere and you're like, okay, there's no way I can't even individually look at all this, right?
Well, in my mind, it was like looking at pictures of Woodstock.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's just, people were like, wow. And I have a song that I'd made a music video for and I wrote that was licensed in a Chevy commercial once, right?
I remember that.
And on like a YouTube ad, they use like 10, 15 seconds.
Was it Drive?
Drive.
Yeah.
And I tell people, y'all sing with me. When I say go, you say go, roll, roll. And I'm like, I want to go. And like probably maybe 12 of the 18,000 people said, go. And it was like that scene from Back to the Future where he down the speaker and his hair goes.
Yeah.
Like literally, I could feel the breath of 10, 12,000 people going, go. And it was like, and I was like, whoa, this is a crazy feeling. I almost forgot the rest of the lyrics.
I think I would have stopped singing, bro. That would have shocked me, literally.
Literally walked off stage. They had a camper for us to change in. By that point, hey, you guys go to the camper. And I had a meet and greet line, right? I had set up so I could give out some CDs. And there was like 3,000 or 4,000 people on our meet and greet line. But we were there for like 4 hours until Hunter Hayes got off stage, and we were still meeting with people for like 2 hours.
Wow.
And I was in the camper and I sat down and my drummer come up and put his hand on my back, and dude, I just bawled. I just cried. I'm like, it's taken so many years to get here. And at that point, that was the highlight of my career at that point.
Yeah.
Because it was so emotional that we all had put in so much work. And during that time, I was just working like 3 jobs. You know, I have a college degree. Mm-hmm. Living in Nashville is an expensive city. Like I literally had 3 jobs and practicing twice a week and then going out and playing bar shows on the weekend.
It's not for the faint of heart, man.
We played on Friday for 20,000 people. We had gotten booked to play another festival in Chattanooga on Saturday because they saw that we were opening for Hunter Hayes, and I had used that in marketing material, right? So we went and played, and it rained, and there was like 12 people in the audience, right?
Ouch.
But it was like, we were still we performed the same show, mm-hmm. and people were like, I can't believe there's only 12 people here. You guys are amazing, you know? And it was cool, man. It was super cool. The next day, when you said one of those right place, right times, we had put in the work. We got invited to play the Carter family reunion. We talked about Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
He married June Carter.
Yeah.
June Carter's grandmother, Mother Maybelle, Helen Carter, her mother, right? And they had the Carter family music history in Old Hickory. And every year they'd have a Carter family reunion. And we got invited to come out and get on stage there and play a couple songs. And like Roy Orbison's family Junior was there, and like I think John Carter Cash came.
That's highfalutin.
You know, and there's like the Carter family girls were there, and it was it's just, you know, one of, like you said, right place, right time. But there's a lot of work that went in behind to cultivating those relationships to get an invitation like that.
Well, you know, I feel like it's the right place, right time with the right amount of work.
Yeah.
And people don't see that last part. They just focus on right place, right time.
Right. And there's so much behind the right place, right time. That's the shortest 4-word explanation or description to lots of work, lots of words.
Right. What an incredible opportunity that is. Even if you never get to go again, to go there once and experience that and be a part of that history.
Yeah.
That you can't pay for that experience. They don't have guided tours of the Carter family reunion.
Oh,
you know?
And that's just that was the unpublished name, the Carter family reunion. The published name was Herbstock, and Herbie Bennett married Lori Carter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her brother was my lead guitarist, Randy,
mm-hmm.
was his bass player in high school.
That's crazy.
And he went over there one day, and we'll bring him on another time to tell the story.
Yeah.
But his uncle was Johnny Cash, and he ended up meeting one of June's daughter, Rosie, right?
Yeah.
They ended up dating for like 6 years. And
Wow.
so there's a whole other backstory history to that. And that's one of the reasons we got invited to play for the Carters over there, right? Carter family.
Right place, right time, right amount of work.
Things just kind of, and they wouldn't, it depends on your mindset because, you know, so many times I have seen people that had major opportunities or they just doing something big and they're like, no, I'm not going to do that unless I'm getting paid. I'm like, dude, I literally have paid to play places. We're going to go for free. Whoever in the band wants to go, we're going.
People underestimate how important your blood equity into whatever you love doing is. You're not all the time going to get compensated how you feel like you should. A lot of good can come from you just putting yourself out there for nothing.
Yeah, that's right. So much good has come from that.
Yeah.
Nothing that monetary can ever pay for the amount that my heart has gotten paid by what I was willing to put into it.
True.
Yeah.
Very, very true. All right. So we're going to move on into the Josie Music Awards.
Yeah, man.
What does it mean to you to be a 2-time award winner of the Male Country Artist of the Year?
Man, I'm telling you what, that's another one of those things, the first one. I was so excited just to be nominated.
Yeah.
And then my parents were there.
Mm-hmm.
Winning Modern Male Country Artist of the Year for the Josie Awards. Number one, it's easier. There's so many submissions, 50 something thousand, I think, for that year, right? Maybe it was like 500,000.
It was a lot
last year. It's easier. It's definitely 100% easier to get an acceptance letter to get into Harvard than it is to get nominated at the Josie Music Awards. It's an independent award show, but it is so big. The next level from the Josie Awards is like the CMT Awards, right?
Right.
And so CMA Awards. I personally classify the Josie Awards on that level.
Yeah.
So many other independent artists do, because outside of the nominations, just to be involved and be a part of the Josie organization, even if you're not nominated, you submitted, you go to the awards. Mm-hmm. There's so many great people there that are involved.
I can't think of a better place to network. Awards. That's wild. Just to be able to go in there and bump elbows with people.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
But definitely winning an award blew me away because I was not even expecting to win, let alone I was nominated. I was like, and so I wasn't ready to film or nothing. I was just sitting there and they said Modern Male Country Artist of the Year. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm nominated for that. And they said, Clayton Q. And I was like, my friend was like, did he just call your name? I was like, what? They call my name?
Are you sure?
And so somebody that was with us, a drummer, he said, give me your phone. He starts recording it, right?
Yeah.
They got a camera. It's following you up to the front, and so he records me going up to the stage. I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like.
So you had nothing prepared for that?
Nothing prepared.
Wow.
I just didn't even know who, and they're great also. It's, you don't know who their voting board is. They keep all that hush and secret, which is really great. Props to you guys for that.
Yeah.
But props to them. But, and that really, really keeps down on, knowing, but, I had no clue, and it was an amazing feeling to say, and it was also at that point, the highlight of my career. It's up to that point, came a different time, a couple years. So 2020, it was a COVID pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. They still had the award show. It was amazing. Held it in the Great Smoky Mountains. It's
I went because I filmed for you that time.
So I had you come the second year,
mm-hmm.
and I was not expecting. I just wanted to film, but then I won the second year.
Do you remember we had sat in there so long, and I had got so much B-roll. Battery was dying, and I'm like, dude, I need to know now. Do I run to the car to try to get it all, you know? And you're like, yeah, I think you got to go get it. So no later had I was literally putting the batteries in, walking to my seat, and they call your name right when I flicked it on. It was like the
Boom.
perfect timing.
You didn't even sit down. You just
no, I just
behind
walked
me.
backwards all the way down there. You know,
Yeah, man, that was awesome, dude.
that was
So I have
incredible.
both of those. I have an office and I have a shelf, and I have those awards up there. And those crystals mean more to me than as if I was like, if I went and I won a CMA award this year, that would mean a whole lot to me, right?
Right.
But my very first one, it's like this was the first time that people believed in me.
Right.
You know, a bunch of people will believe in me up to that point to winning a CMA award, right?
Yeah.
But the very first time that someone believed in me, they believed in me. And that means more because they took a chance on me as a person in my career first.
Right.
You
Right.
know, you don't forget the people who come up with you. It's going back to dance with what brung you, you know, back to your roots. And these people believed in me and my roots from the get-go.
So I take it we'll be seeing you at more events of theirs in the future.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Whether or not that I'm nominated or submitting material, I'll definitely be hardcore, diehard Josie Music Awards. They really created that organization from the ground up and put everything of their own pocket into creating the organization. And for an independent award show based around music and now a lot of different aspects of entertainment, giving notoriety to musicians of the year, photographers of the year, people, publicists of the year, people that are involved around music.
And they're accepting different genres of music in, not just country now.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Hip hop, pop, country, jazz, Latin, Christian, you know, world music.
Independent artists, you need to submit your content to the Josie Music Awards.
Absolutely.
ASAP.
Absolutely. I 100% say that. You know, a good friend of mine, Paul from Bootleggers Music Group, I submitted him because he had a song that was in 7 different languages. You might want to have him up here sometime.
7.
He released a world song, a world spiritual song in 7 different languages at the same time. And
That's
it wasn't,
wild.
he didn't just put into Google and record it, right? Literally had 7 different language artists come in and record the same song to the music. And
cool.
It was really awesome. And he was nominated with his Bootleggers Music Group Song of the Year.
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody else doing that. And they just laid all the tracks down on top and then pulled what they wanted, you know, from each person kind of thing.
Well, it was the same song, full length in 7 different languages.
Right.
So it's 7 different artists recording in their language the same track.
That's really innovative.
Yeah, it was really cool. But, you know, being involved with the Josies, whomever you are, is not a bad idea at all. And as an independent artist, you can submit music. Someone could submit on your behalf. And just going and attending is great networking. It's all about getting out of it what you want to put into it.
Right.
Yeah.
All righty. So let's talk a little bit about how has being sponsored by Furman Power Equipment impacted your nationwide tour?
You know,
they sure made that nice bus of yours look pretty.
Well, I appreciate that. So the people see the successes, the heart, and I would not be doing Furman or myself any justice if I did not explain a little bit of how it got to that point.
Right.
But as you've seen in the press recently and in the past couple of years, right? I perform a lot with John Snyder, Bo Duke from Dukes of Hazzard, played, you know, Superman's adolescent dad on Smallville, the haves and the have-nots. You know, he's had several major roles, but always known predominantly for Bo Duke from Dukes of Hazzard. And I grew up watching him, went to a couple of his events, asked to, you know, his wife, who was a manager, Alicia, the late, you know, late and great. She passed away recently as well, bless her heart. But she had an amazing soul, and she let me send her my EPK. And she called me one day and said, "Hey, you know, we're having a John's birthday party," and that was in COVID too, earlier on that year. And she said, "We're going to be having a birthday party or a homestead, and I see you got a full band, and I'd like to invite you to come down to perform. And doesn't pay anything, but if you can get here, you've got an hour spot. And I'm like, I'm going.
Yeah.
We're going down there. So on the way, there's this torrential downpour, right? Hurricane coming. We didn't think we was going to make it, right? We're fighting tooth and nail to get there. At that time, earlier that year, I had saved up all my money for like 10 years that we've been playing and performing in bars. My van had 465,000 miles on it, 2 engines, a transmission put in it, axles. I mean, everything bad on this van. Going down the road, it's shaking right. I found an opportunity to buy an old Greyhound bus that was like a crew bus, right? For, I think, Pink Floyd crew bus back in the day. It had like, the odometer said 600,000 miles, but it had rolled over like 3 times. That's 3,600,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
Built out on the inside. So I had saved up all my funds and bought this thing. And I was like, yeah, we're going to roll up to John Snyder's in my tour bus, and had a great team, a driver, made friends with. And we're going down. There's one of our first trips on the bus. And we get down there and we perform, and it's great. It rains, but it stops raining right as we go up stage, So John Snyder's popular. All his fans are there. They're making a movie, Stand on It.
Mm-hmm.
He just came out with last year. So let's see, Stand on It. That was Stand on It. They did a poker run this last time. So they're filming Stand on It. And so we're on stage, or get off. I'm mingling with people. I'm selling merchandise. They're getting to know me. Furman's there. They sponsor John Snyder. They're like his tour sponsor. But we're going to come back to that. So we go to leave for the evening, and Alicia comes up. She's like, hey, you got to stop the bus. She gets on. She said, you guys kick butt so much. She said, Clayton, come here. I want to talk to you. I'll go outside. She hands me, and it cost me to get to Louisiana on the bus, pay the driver, fuel, and pay the band members. It's another one where I told them we were getting paid to play and we weren't.
Right.
It cost me $1,500 to go down there. I literally took out a title loan on my car to go. She comes on the bus. She gets me off. She said, I wanted to give you a little something. She hands me 15 $100 bills.
Wow.
And my mind was blown. She said,
there go those chills again.
Man. I know you weren't expecting to get this. You did a great job. She said, stay by your phone because I got a call I want to talk with you about next week. And the next week she called me. She said, would you want to come on tour with us for Bose Extravaganza? 2021, not 2020, 2021. Would you want to come on tour with us, Bose Extravaganza on the road, and open for John at all these cities we're going to? And I knew that some I could make full band, that some of them I could make acoustic. She said, that's all right. You come. And I did. We was in Oklahoma and Texas and South Dakota and Kentucky and Illinois, Indiana, East Tennessee, cool. Georgia. I mean, we were going to racetracks and performing. And then they were racing each other. And then we did some drive-in movie theaters where they play the movie, and it was great. But at every show, I had my merchandise with me.
Right.
And I didn't have a merch tent. So I would say, hey, y'all meet me after I get off stage. I want to be at Furman Power Equipment. By the way, say Clayton Q, and you would get 30% off and take a generator home today. I'll even sign it for you, right? And I didn't have a promo code. John had the promo code.
Right.
But people come over there and they would say, hey, I want the Clayton Q discount on a generator. Or they'd say, sure, let's sell them a generator. I started selling 1 or 2 generators per show. So
by default, they were like, he needs a code.
The vice president, about the 6th show, the vice president of the company said, hey, give me a call. Let's get you your own promo code and card.
Heck yeah.
So they give me my own, promo code and discount code, which I have.
Here we go.
Well, I'll show you one. And let's see if we get a little.
Hold it up.
Right here, I get a photo shoot.
Come in a little bit closer with
I did a photo shoot, by the way. So this is a picture of me standing in front of the bus. And then right here.
Put your hand behind it.
Let's see.
If you can do it. Yeah, there we go.
So we got that. And then the front side, we have the 30% off coupon and QR code with Clayton Q30, right? So we had that, and I would give those away to everyone, right? They give me affiliate commission, right?
Mhm.
Eventually, and I was just giving those away right and left, right and left. Every single person, you had a baby, I was giving those away right and left, right and left, and wasn't even thinking about it. And one day I get an email with an e-check in it, right, for like a couple grand. And I was like, man, my email's been hacked. This no way. Like,
I'm not cashing this. I know better than this.
hey, I don't know if you guys know it or not, but your email's hacked. Somebody at your company's trying to send me a check. And they were like, he was like, yeah, that's your affiliate, that's your commission check for selling generators. I sold 74 generators in like 3 months, giving out the cards, and they were paying me like a commission. And so
Okay.
I did it so well that the next year I went back to play at John Snyder's. A year they'd been sponsoring me like that for 5 or 6 months, right? Affiliate cards. Vice president said, hey, I really want to work with you on doing more with you, right? Let's work on something. And there was so much work that went into cultivating that friendship, that relationship with Furman. I really had to do a lot of work for them in sales, the face of the company, without being sponsored, just based on, hey, I'm Clayton Q. I believe in this product, and you should too.
Blood equity. Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't even expecting to get paid. They gave me a generator, and I was like, cool, they gave me a generator. I'm going to promote their product.
Yeah.
And we started working on how could we do so. In that meantime, during COVID, I lost 160 shows. 2020 was going to be our biggest year. 160 shows lost, right? I got tired of sitting at home about March. I decided I'm going to go sit out in the middle of a field, Smoky Mountains. I'm going to turn on a tripod, Facebook Live, and I'm going to play for my fan base.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to call it the Social Distancing Tour. And
there we go.
Someone said, hey, where's your Venmo? I want to send you a tip. I'm like, I should do that. So I put my Venmo on there, PayPal, Cash App, and people started sending me tip money. I pinned it as a comment.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said, hey, I said, you tell me where you want me to go, and I'll bring you the vacation since you can't go there. I'm not afraid to travel. Someone said, I want to see you in Floribama tonight. I said, you send me $250 right now. And cha-ching, sent me $250. I said, I got to go. I left from Wares Valley, Tennessee, and drove like 7.5 hours. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning. I'd left at like 4 o'clock in the morning to go there because I was going to turn around and go right back to Nashville. So clothes on my back, backpack with some toiletries in it, no change of clothes, drove straight to Floribama. They were closed, but I went outside on the beachfront out there, and sun was setting. I did a Facebook Live. Someone commented, where are you going to go now? I said, I guess I'm going to go back to Nashville. We might get a hotel room. Someone commented, hey, I own a condo in Gulfport. So why don't you go to stay in my condo? I'll send you the code. It's a vacation condo. I go there. The next morning, I'm out on the beach, Gulfport. Someone says, hey, here's $100. I want to see you go to New Orleans today. I went downtown New Orleans, Bourbon Street. I'm the only person only soul on the street. This cop's coming up. I'm on Facebook Live. I'm like, all right, guys, I'm about to get in trouble. Here comes the cop. He come up. He said, I said, officer, am I in trouble? He said, no, sir. I just want to let you know you're making history. You're the first person I saw in 3 days.
Wow.
There hadn't been nobody on the street since like the beginning of Bourbon Street, right? In the 60s, 40s or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I grew up really close to Bourbon. That's where we would go when we wanted to go.
So it was an experience. Someone commented and said, hey, but I met our friends we're going to talk about shortly, Re-Up in Pacific, with our friends Twing and Round, who you had on another podcast. A couple years prior, when we performed on a cruise to Mexico, Kinfolk cruise, a big smo. And so some people that were on the cruise commented on when I was in New Orleans and said, hey, our 15th year anniversary is tonight. I'll pay you to come back to Panama Beach and stay with us and play tonight for us. And that's what I did. And literally, while I'm at Panama Beach, someone said, I'm doing a Facebook Live. Mm-hmm. Hey, I'll buy your plane ticket to come to Salt Lake City and play for me and my family. I drove back to Nashville, got change of clothes, flew to Salt Lake City. And while I'm there, someone said that I knew, one of my fans said, hey, we've got a condo on Venice Beach. Come out here for a week. And literally, I toured all over the country just by They're Not Afraid. So then, fast forward now, I'm playing shows. I did the show with John Snyder. I'm touring. Talent buyers, they start picking up on that. They're like, this guy, shows are starting to come back. They're not afraid to spend. They're like, hey, this guy's not afraid. His band's not afraid. Let's book him for this outdoor event. Boom. I started getting so many gigs from being not afraid to go out that I was turning stuff away.
Yeah.
I was doing good. I was eating, you know, I gained 30, 40 pounds, but I'm riding in a car and my bus, right? But I am saving up. I'm saving all my funds. I'm being frugal. I'm budgeting. And I had the bus and I wanted to get the bigger opportunity. I said, how can, if I can get Furman to sponsor me or a company to sponsor me, I can give all this as ad space. And the bus that I had with so many miles was not the kind of bus that someone would put their brand on.
Right.
So I had to think outside the box. How can I get another vehicle? And I ended up finding this bus in East Tennessee, becoming friends with the gentleman that owned the bus, went down to see it a couple times, right? And he learned to know who I was and believe in me. And I needed some funds, so I started crowdfunding. And I had several people that believed in me enough to give me a donation towards the tour bus that I have now, because they believed in the person that I was, where I come from. You know, maybe someone had met my parents and said, oh, he just comes from humble beginnings, you know, and knew that I wasn't going to squander anything, opportunity. And then I had a few people that had a major hand that I will always be thankful for. And these people will always have a VIP ticket at my concert, no matter what. In the time you believe in Clayton Q from the get-go, you have a VIP ticket always, no matter what. And they know who they are. And I had whatever the amount was, I don't want to say, but the bus belonged to T.G. Shepherd. And T.G. Shepherd had a song with Elvis, right? He lived at Graceland. And he had gotten this bus in like it's an 85 Prevost, right? Older bus, but had the inside built out. And it looks like the jungle room at Graceland, right? Wow. There's brass, there's like Brazilian wood, there's blue suede on the walls. And so it's older, it's vintage, but it looks great. So I had this bus. Before I got the bus, I took pictures when I went to see the bus. I put it in my proposal to Furman. I said, and they're going to see this now. They're going to say, oh, man, what a smart guy, right? We know your tactics now, Clayton Q. But I think I told the story a little bit. But I said, this is my bus, and this is where I want to put your branding. And they were like, we like that. Yes, we want to do it. So the moment that I got the yes, I took the money that I had and went and bought the bus. And by the next week, it was before I even had the title in my name, I was getting an appointment to get it wrapped.
I remember I took you to either go drop you off to get the bus.
Yeah, you did.
I can't remember, but yeah, I remember driving down. It was before the wrap was on it.
You took me there we went to look at it.
Yeah.
We just went to look at it. I hadn't bought it yet.
Yeah, because that's when they, I think, had just finished pulling all the guts out and, you know, making sure it was all.
Yeah, they're working on it. So
that was cool. I forgot about that.
It was crazy how that happened. So there were so many working parts that went in, but Furman believed in me enough to say, hey, this guy's going places, he's traveling, and there's a lot of working hard parts behind that. I'm promoting their company. I believe in their product, and they believed in me. So they took a chance on me, and now we've had a successful partnership for a couple of years now. And I'm a brand affiliate, and I'm on their website. They've got graphics of me on their site. I've done several of their events all over the country. They participate in a lot of charity events and causes, and that we believe we have that belief together. And so it really works. Our relationship really works well together. And so now to actually answer your
tighten that top bolt.
All right. Yep. Okay. And now to actually speak on how has Furman assisted me in my nationwide tour? Well, they're my brand partner.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I am promoting Furman Power Equipment products, they're also promoting Clayton Q. And so it really works well together. And for them to be, it makes me so proud to have partnered with a company like Furman, because as I started performing in my garage, like and building a garage band, they started the company 7 years ago in a garage.
That's cool.
And so both of our beginnings from the successes of our companies have started in the same type of way.
Right.
So the company's, a great company, $20 million, $30 million gross sales a year, right? They're doing great things. They got a lot of great people on their team. And my company, Clayton Q, is in a different realm where I'm an independent artist in country music. But we both have similar values and we have similar goals, and we work to achieve those goals together. And so they have a marketing team, and we talk about ideas. We talk about ideas together.
Yeah.
We run ideas off of one another, and we're on the same team. And that assistance really helps because it allows me to go to different cities and the different locations and events and venues that I want to go. And I can always thank Furman Power Equipment for being my sponsor and allowing me to go however I'm going to pay it forward and impact someone else through my music.
Right.
I have them to thank for that because they're enabling me to do that.
It sounds like the future is brighter with you two together.
It is, man. It's growing so much. We have so many great things planned together, not only for ourselves, but for the communities that we're traveling to for 2024.
I'll tell you, having the right people to pair your brand with is majorly important. A sponsor is a sponsor, but it really sounds like you have found a partnership.
Yeah,
that's different.
I have multiple sponsors. I have Furman Power Equipment, great product sponsor. I have a great sponsor from the Glock store.
Mm-hmm.
They're here in Nashville. They relocated from San Diego to Nashville, and they made me a custom Glock 43X.
There you go.
And I've been robbed a couple times living in Nashville, Tennessee. House been broken into, and I like to use self-protection. And the Glock store definitely believes in that and protecting yourself. And I partnered with them, and we designed an awesome design on my gun together.
You should send me pictures of it, and I'll put it up on the screen.
I will. But big shout out to Lenny McGill, Dan Jones, the Glock store, great people over there in Nashville. Big shout out to Greg and Jason Sutton and Sean Stoltz from Furman Power Equipment. Those are my people too. And I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Big Love Foundation.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with that? What was it? And then what did you find most rewarding about being involved with them?
Through the COVID pandemic was a tough time. Like I said earlier, lost a lot of gigs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on an independent level. Like I said earlier, through the COVID pandemic, I lost a lot of gigs, and I'm on the independent level, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of big players and larger portions of the industry, of the entertainment industry, that lost entire tours. And maybe the main front person of that, of let's say whoever it is, I'm not going to say for sure, but let's say frequently speaking, Metallica lost their tour. Well, Metallica, the band, they're going to be okay.
Right.
But the people behind the scenes that are running the audio mixers and the stage hands and the people that are doing the rigging and they're putting up the stages and the scaffolding and the lights and the truck drivers, they're in trouble. They're in trouble.
They're in big trouble.
Yeah. And kind of like the independent artists, they're in big trouble.
Yep.
And as we talked about a little bit earlier, going back to knowing people for several years, becoming friends with as many people as you can, and cultivating relationships and friendships over the years. Someone that I knew said, "Hey, Clayton, there is an event happening with some major stars, and they were looking to get some country artists on this event, and a couple of them don't want to be involved, right?" And so I had the promo and marketing material from being on stage with 20,000 people with Hunter Hayes, right? And that's on my website. And from one of the things that I did at my own expense, right?
Right.
And not expecting anything from it. A couple of years later, someone sees that. They say, "Hey, I know this person that's doing this production. Hey, you know what? Yeah, this is a good guy from Nashville. He's singing country music, independent guy. You know what? Let's put him on the show." And he says, "Clay, you're going to get a call from probably somebody famous in the next couple of days on FaceTime. So be expecting it, right? Answer an unknown number." I open my phone, it rings. This guy says, "Hey, man, my name's George, and we're doing this production, and this is my best friend, Rick." And it comes over, he says, with the accent, he said, "Hey, Clayton Q, I'm Rick Allen. It's the drummer for Def Leppard. It's Rick Allen with Def Leppard. He's calling me on FaceTime."
That had to have been a very surreal moment where you're like,
I'm in the car, I'm listening to Def Leppard. I go up inside my place. 2 minutes later, I get a phone call. I was listening on the radio a minute earlier. He's calling me. And I'm like, this is the highlight of my career. You know, it's one of those points. And to believe in what you're doing and proud of you. And we would be honored if you would join us for the Big Love benefit. And so the Big Love Foundation was developed by Rick Allen and his wife, Lauren Monroe. And these funds were to help people in the music industry who had lost their income due to COVID, COVID pandemic.
Right.
And they put together a star-studded lineup to share the stage. And Wynonna Judd, Tommy Shaw from Styx, right? The Almond Betts band, the Dickie Betts and Greg Allman's son, right?
Yeah.
Billy Idol on here, you know. Sammy Hagar had some on there. Bret Michaels, Matt Sorum, drummer for Guns N' Roses. I mean, it was a star-studded lineup, and here I am performing on the show. I fly out there to Hayward, California, to Sound Image Productions, and we have Greg Price from Diablo Digital. Him and Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne's sound touring engineer for many years. There's people involved with Journey's tour managers. You know,
that's top shelf, top echelon.
And here I am coming in as an independent guy, and I'm getting to work with Journey's tour manager.
That's wild.
And you know what I mean? And Diablo Digital, like huge pioneers in this industry for many decades. Yeah. And he's mixing my sound. You know,
that's gotta be surreal.
And then I'm like, no, this is the high point of my career. And you know, it's the COVID pandemic, and everybody's being kind of safe. And a guy there that's been a friend of mine, I've become friends with, and I'm gonna give him a shout out. He wouldn't want me to say this, but I'm gonna give a big shout out to my good friend AJ Fardella. And we met at the Big Love benefit and stayed connected since then. And since then, he's been a huge portion of my life and a rock in my corner in my career. So big shout out to him. But again, going out there, we didn't get paid to go out there. Everyone participated, contributed at their own expense. And they put this on a streaming platform online, and they use all the funds to put towards the people that it was in need. And they continue to spread the word of the Big Love Foundation. And, you know, something that assists people in my shoes as an independent artist or someone working behind the scenes in the entertainment industry to assist them and give them funds to help them out during a time of need, that's a cause that I can get behind.
100%.
And so I'm so proud to have been a part of not only that production, but to say that I support the Big Love Foundation. Yeah. So big shout out to Rick Allen and Lauren Monroe. They're great. I did a show with Lauren Monroe at the City Winery last year. And we talked about that. They do a lot of work with the Raven Drum Foundation. And it's kind of the same Big Love Foundation, Raven Drum, they kind of work together.
It's really good to see people give back in situations where, although more people should, they don't have to, right? Like they don't owe anybody out there anything, not their time, not their money, not their attention. For them to take that on themselves, that shows character, buddy. You can't buy that.
Oh yeah.
Which is why you end up in places that you do, because of your character and internal fortitude.
Right.
You can't fake that.
You know, Rick Allen has been since then such a friend and a mentor.
Yeah.
You know, he's a drummer. I'm a singer in a band, right? He still has he's still performing, you know, and he's not singing, but not only is he performing, he's been playing for the last 3 decades with one arm on a worldwide tour every year. This guy is a beast, you know.
I can't play with 2 arms, okay?
But he's such an inspiration to me of overcoming the odds.
Right.
That I know, like, I'm an independent artist. He's made it as a drummer with one arm. There's nothing that I can complain about. He's such an inspiration to me as a person and a mentor. That I need to keep moving forward. Yeah. And I'm so proud that I can call him my friend. There's never been a time that if I text him and say, hey, or every once in a while I might hear from him, you know, if he's not tied up, and or I say, hey, he takes the time to say, hey, Clayton, hey, buddy, how's it going? Hey, bro. A lot of people say bro, right?
Good things happen to good people.
He's never been not nice to me. Like, he's always been such a kind human being. And I really appreciate him for that.
Well, you make an impact on people when you come in a room. I don't know if it's got to be the entertainer in you, man. It just is what it is. You walk in a room, shake everybody's hands, look everybody in the eye. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. You're very personable. It's hard to forget something like that.
I appreciate you saying that. My dad, going back, we talked earlier, that been preaching since 1970. He always did that. He never met a stranger, and I saw that growing up. But he said to me, you don't know if the hello to a complete stranger that you said, they may have been on their way to do something real bad to themselves.
Yeah. And
you changed their entire life by saying hello. And that hits me so hard growing up, knowing that and there's a lot of growing to do as adolescents, you know.
Right.
You go through growing pains, chemicals and stuff, and you're bouncing your body, right?
Yeah.
As a young adolescent. But I still try to always remember that and learn that. And as I got more into my adulthood and young adulthood, I always remembered that. Say hi to every single person. You never know who you're going to impact and how.
True.
Open the door. You don't have to pay for somebody's coffee in Starbucks line.
Right.
But if you open the door for someone, what if the person you opened the door for at the convenience store was about to rob the convenience store because everyone's so crappy in this world? I'm just going to go rob and take something. And you open the door and they're like, man, there's one nice person to open the door for me. Because of that, I'm not going to rob this place.
Going back home, plan
right?
averted.
Exactly. You don't know.
You really don't. One very small act of kindness could very well change someone's world, right? Which reverberates into all of our worlds.
That's right.
All right. So let's take the time to talk a little bit about how do you balance your time between touring, recording, writing, and your other professional endeavors?
That's $1 million.
And there's only one of you, right? You don't have a clone out in the truck, right? Or did you send him off in the truck to go handle?
I've been so fortunate to do so many things throughout my career in life and learning. So many opportunities, so many failures, but so many opportunities to learn from those. That I also learned that It's not so important that you have to do every single thing like everyone else. You want to do something, pick out one or two or maybe three at the most of whatever it is that you want to do, and just focus on those and just do those. Get a handle on those. You want to take on something else, pick out one thing and do it well instead of trying to do 10 things. Because I'm Clayton Q. I'm not a huge booking agency on Music Row or in New York City or LA. I'm just Clayton Q. And I've had the opportunities to learn how to be a booking agent from working with a popular booking agency in Atlanta for free to cut my teeth and get my feet wet. I learned how to be a tour manager. Which, by the way, I worked with several hip hop acts as an opportunity over the years from someone that I met in hip hop music because I wanted to learn about the business.
Yeah.
And they entrusted me with some opportunities to take care of some major hip hop acts when they couldn't make it to Nashville. And I did well. And some of those acts are Mystical, Crime Mob, Juvenile, Nappy Roots.
There we go.
You know, really getting to spend some time learning how to take care of logistic planning, forecast for touring, writing riders, sponsorship procurement, and learning those aspects of the business of music in the music business. And
I feel like that's very important. And a lot of people do not take the time or put the blood equity in to learn what they're stepping into.
That's right.
That's probably what separates you from the pack.
Oh man, I appreciate that. It's been so much of the process that 10% of the gigs or the shows are the 2 hours that you go in to play music.
Right.
90% of the shows that you get are all the administrative work that goes into it. So literally 50 hours of work to get ready to go out for 20 hours to play 1 2-hour show, 1 hour show.
It's a lot of behind the scenes.
Of work.
A lot.
The money that you really make from the show does not pay for the amount of hours that goes into it. A lot of behind the scenes. People don't see the work, they see the result.
True.
But I only have let people see the result so that they could only see me winning so that they would believe in me and come on.
Very, very strategic.
Yeah.
I will say, I feel like, there's been some situations where you had to ride it out by the seat of your pants.
You have.
However,
I have.
Whatever's within your control or things that you're able to influence.
Yeah.
You're really good at doing that. Take note, artist.
That's right.
Take note. All right. So speaking about your actual music and all this kind of stuff, what role does music marketing play in your career and how do you stay ahead?
Every day there's a new social media platform.
Mm-hmm.
And if I focused on marketing myself on every single one of them every day, I would never catch up. I wouldn't build the foundation, right?
So this goes back to your pick your couple and
pick a couple,
hammer down.
There's been some times where someone says, where can I stream your music? You can stream on Amazon, Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, watch music videos on iTunes, watch music videos on YouTube, watch music videos on Facebook Watch, Google Me, Google Play, Tidal. People just name off all these streaming platforms, but
I feel like a better question
where can I find you? It's easier just to say,
what's the most impactful way I can engage with your content?
Right. So I love to say, hey, I'm most engaging with my fan base on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Fair.
And those are the three that I have the most interaction, the most engagement. And something that's very important is that because of the streaming legalities that have affected artists and content creators, people used to just be streaming on their phone for views.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually someone said, hey, I want to get paid for that. And I know a little thing about law, right? So they said, hey, I'm going to create this bill that says, and get it passed, that says when AT&T from my phone, I'm streaming and you're watching on your phone, you're paying for the content. You're paying for the data.
Yep.
And I'm not getting anything. So now when you pay your phone bill and you're paying for your data and your data that you're watching is streaming me, then your phone company has to pay for it.
I need a direct portion of that.
Right.
Right.
And that's where now it allows, in the last couple of years, now it allows artists on the major level and the independent level, even playing field, to make money from their content. And that's something that's vital and important. And this is, I've been at it a lot of years, 20 years in Nashville, 25, 26 in my career in music period. But I'm still learning every day. I'm still self-developing. I'm still self-educating on how that I can continue to grow that and grow my fan base and make money. I'm starting to make money now on online social media.
There we go.
And that's a great feeling.
Yeah.
Right there. We're like,
yeah.
It says, 300,000 people sent you stars on Facebook. First time I got that, it said, you have 30 stars sent to you on Facebook. I'm like, yes, I
look out now.
It says, 99 cents for, I was like, yeah, I made $1 on Facebook, and sometimes you get those a lot of stars, and that really means a lot, because that means your fans are supporting you and supporting your endeavors, your career, and they believe in what you're doing. And
as an independent creator,
yeah,
every little bit helps, man, because
it sure does.
Independent people put out a lot for what they do. A lot of us are paying to be here.
Yeah.
It just kind of is part of the game. It is what it is.
Something, and money always pays the bills in the year 2023, right?
Yeah.
But something that means more to me is a share and a like.
Yeah.
If you like my post, that means you like what I said. If you share it, that means you're paying it forward.
And it opens up the algorithm for other people, one, not only on my friends list, but two, on your friends list. Because the way it all works theoretically, and this is from companies that work directly with Facebook, currently, as it stands, even with improved visibility on your page, about 28% of your friends list total sees any one or two things you share.
Right.
Well, the more people that engage in that, the number goes up. You're never going to hit 100%, even if you pay them money. It's just not going to happen. However, the best you can hope for is a little bit over 60% of your friends list at any given time will be able to see it. So the more you engage, the more people see our stuff, and you can do that for no dollars. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Not even a cent.
That's right.
You can help support your friends, your loved ones, people you don't even know, but you may be inspired by.
That's right.
For nothing.
Nothing.
Keep it in mind, folks.
Keep it in mind.
Little bit goes a long way.
Share this video
1,000 times. Maybe not 1,000, because
I'm Clayton Q. I'm on ATMOS Live Feed right here with James Aldridge, and I want you to share this video.
You heard the man. All right. So, what advice would you give to an aspiring musician who is just now looking to get into the business?
Musician or artist, performing artist, performer, even if you want to work in the entertainment industry in a different field, try to deep dive head first into whatever it is that you want to do. The only way, right? And there's many different ways, but really it comes down to the basics. The only way to do something is to start now.
Yeah.
Start immediately. And you already have a tool that a lot of people don't know that they have. Oh, I don't want to step on any toes. I don't want to offend someone. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to feel insecure and be told no, right?
Right.
Get as many no's as you can.
Get them out of the way.
Ask the questions that just ask. You got the tool is your mouth, man.
Right.
Use it to ask questions to get the no's, because eventually you're going to get so many no's that the no's are going to run out and you're going to start being told yes.
Mm-hmm.
Am I good enough to to perform here? Yes. Am I good enough to open for this artist? Yes. Can I do this? Yes. And eventually there'll be no need to ask questions. You'll proving yourself and you say, hey, I'm doing this. Proving yourself to yourself first.
People, if that doesn't inspire you, I don't know. I don't know what will. This man has overcome more battles than most people will ever fight. Okay. And that in itself is a testimony to who you are.
Appreciate that.
About that piece.
This piece right here,
Mm-hmm.
right here. This is actually
that's custom made. You don't
this
just
is
see
custom
that
made
anywhere.
by an extraordinary gentleman named Manuel Couture. Manuel, I mean, he designed suits and clothes with rhinestone for many decades for people not only in country music, but rock music, pop music, different genres, different personalities all over the world. He learned the craft from his father-in-law. Have you ever heard of a nudie suit?
Yeah.
Nudie, which is like Nudie, right? Nudie suit was his father-in-law, and he was making the suits out on the West Coast. And I'm sure you've seen at the Grand Ole Opry, Porter Wagner, the shows of Porter Wagner had the suits, and they got museums of the clothes, right? He made these suits for these country singers. Manuel learned that from his father-in-law, Nudie, and continued on in that craft and has made a career out of being a custom seamstress and tailor for the stars.
So some of their pieces, and I don't know if it's father or son, what's the name of that wax museum? Madame Tussauds or something like that?
Right.
So I've been to the one here in Nashville, and there's a lot of their, I don't know if they're like the actual original pieces.
Most definitely they are.
Man, they
Most
are
definitely
stunning.
they are. They'll donate pieces to be in the museum.
They've got to be handmade, right?
They are, most definitely. So as an independent artist, over the years, I come to know going to events with Manuel and their family.
Right.
Got to know people in Manuel. And I just felt it was such an accomplishment to have a timepiece, one of one, something made by Manuel.
Yeah.
And so I had gotten a couple other pieces, right? But as I further developed in my career, I thought back about how when I was coming up and I'm like, when I perform, what am I doing? I'm doing my rain dance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, when I was adolescent, playing basketball, dance with what brung you.
Yeah.
I had this other suit that was like jeans and a jacket that I had bought from a Haitian man in South Florida. And he was doing these cool designs on the sidewalk. And it was like, $300 for this jacket. He's like, pick out your size. Tell me what kind of design you want. Come back in 4 hours and I'll have it for you. Custom painted, hand painted flames and roses and skulls on this jacket and these pants. When I put it on, I looked like I was walking on fire. And I called it my fire suit.
That's
and
cool.
So I wore it for a long time, but I really wanted something that had a lot of different influences.
Right.
And having the friendship with Manuel over the years, got to go to him. He's getting up in years. He's in his close, a little bit over 90.
And making those types of things.
And you don't go there. You don't go there and say, okay, I want you to make me this. And he measures you and someone else makes it. Literally, or you have it make it. And you don't get to say, hey, I don't like this. You need to change this. Literally, well, he makes you show up and it's there for you.
And that's it. You better enjoy it, buddy.
You can walk in 2 weeks after ordering it and say, hey, I want to see Manuel. And you walk in the back and he's literally got my shirt down on the table and he's putting the buttons on himself. No one else does it. He has apprentices that cut the fabric and stuff. Literally, he's hand sewing everything.
That's wild.
This is a lot.
There's a lot of detail.
Lot of detail. Hand pressing these rhinestones in, right? And it's not, hey, we're going to line up and put two here, two here. The seamstress will put them wherever is on his heart to put on your shirt. And that's where the hand fabrication, the love aspect of creating this one-on-one piece comes from. So I said, I wear Indian cultural inspired rings, Cherokee bloodline, Cherokee inspired rings, right? Jewelry and turquoise. Mm-hmm. And so his assistant took pictures of my rings and then created, like on this shirt right here, created the designs on my shirt
That's cool.
based off my rings. Like, I'm going to show the camera right here. That look pretty good?
Put your other hand kind of back behind. Yeah, there you go.
Right there?
Yeah.
But then, so you see that ring right here between my shoulder blades.
Oh, man.
Right. So now I had the ring first. Now I have the
That's
shirt.
wild.
And it, it matches. It's like, and so I had the fire suit. And I said, when I'm on stage, I'm doing my rain dance, yeah, but I'm doing my fire dance. I'm bringing the heat.
Yeah.
When I'm performing. And I want a shirt or a piece of clothing that conveys that message.
It's very symbolic.
And so symbolic is, having Cherokee in my bloodline, and then not doing my rain dance, but doing my fire dance. And so there's flames.
I've seen you wear it before, and I've always wondered, and now I'm glad I know.
Right.
That is incredibly cool.
So this is something else that's really cool. I made this bolo. I glued this on here, right? So my friend Liam Nowak, he lives out in the middle of Oklahoma. And so his family has a turquoise mine, right? They farm and find unique rocks and materials out of the desert.
Yeah.
And he brought me some raw turquoise, some different types of tiger eye, opal, ruby. They have just different types of awesome raw materials. He brought me this, and this is a piece of lava. That is like prehistoric piece of lava from the middle of the desert that was uncovered, and enough of it was chiseled away that it would be safe to pick up. But
that's wild.
When lava, dries, it's glass.
Right.
And so you can hold it up to the light and see through it, and it's like tiger striped lava.
Well, now that I'm looking at it and the light's reflecting off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks really cool.
This is a one-of-one piece that was a gift from him, one of my shows, and I made it into a bolo. And lava is like 3,000 degrees, right? And so I felt like this was like the perfect bolo to wear with my fire suit, because it all fits in together. I'm bringing the heat. Different pieces that come from different places, and I'm bringing the heat.
That's really cool to know.
That's just where my style, as I've developed as an artist, of how I feel that I want to dress, has come from. Now I wear different things, and this is the hat and the shirt and the boots is the traditional style from the early turn of country music, where we talked about 3 chords and the truth. But I'm back to the basics. With my personality, I'm dancing with what brought me, right? But when I get on stage, it's anything but something that's mundane. If you've been to one of our shows, you can see how wild and crazy we can get on stage.
Anybody.
It's almost like I'm doing magic. I'm acting like I'm a magician, right?
Right.
We go wireless off the stage, and the drummer can't go, but everyone leaves the stage.
I was just about to say, I haven't been to a show of yours yet that you stayed on the stage.
Yeah.
Because you're out there meeting and greeting people,
right?
Just walking through the crowd, having a good time.
Bringing the show to the people. They're not looking at us. They're celebrating the energy with us.
Right.
And so that's really what I want to do for my show, is to separate who I am from who the person that's going to get on stage.
Right.
And we bring the show to the people. So
big facts.
Big shout out to my band members, Dan Reed, Rhett Butler, Tom Flora. We've got an awesome fiddle player that plays with us, Myrna Lewis. And we have several people behind the scenes. Carl Stout, my bus driver, John Wills. He's our production manager, our tour production manager. And so we have several people and behind the scenes that work with us that all believe in what we're doing. I believe in what I'm doing.
Well, I feel like it's really important to fill, your squad around you with people you trust and you work well with. And it seems like you've got a really good group of guys that keep you going,
Yeah.
Speaking of good people that we know, I wanted to take the time to talk a little bit about Re-Up and Pacific, Twang and Round, Kevin Palmer, and Miss Barbara Bomberger. So,
Yeah.
where did you first meet Re-Up and Pacific?
I first met Rip and Pacific in 2019. It's the day before we're leaving to go on the cruise
Yeah.
to play Mexico, the Kimpo cruise, twanging around.
Oh, so you know Jasmine Cowles too then. She did all the photography and videography on that cruise for him.
Right.
Yeah.
So she was there, and I had some interaction, but at that point, I know twanging around already, but
Yeah.
I didn't know her, but I know who she is, right?
Gotcha.
At that time. And so Rip and Pacific were gonna go, but then they didn't have their passports or something.
Yep.
But that's the first time we met. They were shooting a music video out there. So Twang was like, "Hey man, need some music video or some visuals? You need to hit up Re-Up."
Mm-hmm.
So I got his number. We talked. I had him come out and shoot a music video called "You Left Me" for a song I recorded. That song and video was submitted for the Josie Music Awards under Modern Country, and that the visuals for that video were so great, it was nominated for Country Music Video of the Year, which led to me getting the award for Modern Male Country Artist of the Year. And when I walked up to the stage, they played that song and the video on the screens.
Wow.
So
That's huge, man.
and Pacific were direct contributors to the success of that record.
It's really cool to see things come full circle.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well, I was on stage. I didn't forget them. I said, big shout out to my promo team.
I still have the footage somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, big shout out to my my media team, Re-Up Pacific, James Aldridge, ATMOS Live. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's wild.
So, yeah.
I didn't realize that they had shot that video.
They did. And so the following video was for Save Myself during the COVID pandemic later on that year. And I was having I wanted to shoot it at a funeral home. No one wanted to let me. So my uncle had a barbershop, right? And it was real clean in there, white floors, just like at a embalming station, right? He had an IKEA table that was like aluminum. So he turned off all the lights, put like a lamp over in the corner, made it look like I'm sitting on a prep table, right? And that was our funeral home. And then a friend of mine had the hearse, my friend Jeremy Bedford, on the hearses. And what was so funny about that is, well, I'll tell you a little bit. The video ended up having viral success during the COVID pandemic. The song, 1.4 million streams online collectively between iTunes 247, iTunes, Amazon Music, Facebook video. I mean, probably 1.6 million total. My first number one and it went viral also on like AM radio. I got like number one on AM radio. I didn't know what that was. AM radio. It was labeled as contemporary Christian. I didn't intend for it to be a Christian song, but it was my first number one on that. So, but because people were streaming the music from the video that Re-Up and Pacific shot, we directed that video together, delivered those visuals together. And so that was pretty amazing. So now let's talk about Kevin Palmer. I was performing at John Snyder's birthday party, third year, and Kevin was there, and he come up to me with his people, his team. He said, "Hey man, I'm Kevin Palmer, and I saw you're on the advertising and on the promo, and I see you're from up around our parts, from Tennessee. I'm from Missouri." I said, "Hey man, that's cool." And he said, "Yeah, I'm doing this, and I'm kind of get started, and love to be involved with more people." I said, "Man, let me tell you, I am so glad that you come up to me not knowing me and said you want to be involved with more people, because that's something that I would do." I said, "We've got to be friends."
Yeah, that's literally a Clayton
And
thing.
he didn't have a music video, and I said, I got great people that I work with, and I'm always trying to connect Re-Up with other artists that I know, because I want to grow his business. I want to grow their ability to reach the public. And I recommended he worked with Rip and Pacific. They shot some music videos. And then Rip said, hey, man, you need to be on this podcast, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I got, Kevin Palmer. Kevin and I've got to become good friends maybe the year before last.
I'm amazed at his story.
He's got an amazing story. Father of the Year, #1, Father of the Year.
Literally.
So Kevin and I decided we were going to just sit around a fire pit last October of 21. We known each other 6 months. October 21. We decided we're going to sit around a fire pit way out in the middle of Missouri, Ozarks, about where he lives, right?
Yeah.
He's sitting there playing something, and I'm sitting there. My guitarist, Randy Russell, he's with us, and just a couple people around the campfire. Kevin starts playing a lick, and then he starts strumming, and then I start strumming. Randy starts strumming, and we're just playing it over and over. And I said, cold night, perfect storm of a situation. And they were like, hey, that's good. I was like, yeah. And they said, say that again. I said, oh, man, what'd I say? Right? So David Adams, he's there, part of Kevin's team. He said, hey, I got a notepad. So I started writing down lyrics. We started writing down lyrics. We finished it out. And what was like the first verse, I said, you know what? And I ended it. I said, the train station. And they were like, oh, yeah, you like that show Yellowstone? I said, man, I love Yellowstone. So we ended up in about an hour, wrote this song about the train station on Yellowstone. And it was amazing. We were like, oh, man, that was so cool. It's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, fires, gristling, you can hear coyotes about a half a mile away yelling. We're in the middle of the woods by this cabin writing a song about the train station.
Y'all are in it.
We are in the thick of it. We're in it. So we decide to produce the song. And when that song comes out, I'll make sure that you have it. But right now, it is in the hands of the music supervisor for Taylor Sheridan. And all it's going to take is one more yes, right? For someone on that team to believe in us for that song, to use it in a production based around Yellowstone. It's 1883, 1923, Bass River, another season of Yellowstone. Kevin Costner can work it out, And so
that would be amazing.
That would be such a huge
highlight of our career. Will be amazing.
It's going to be such a huge highlight in our career, a high point in our career, that we're just, we're hoping for the best. We got our fingers crossed. It's in other people's hands now, but we were able to I was able to meet enough people through my journey along the way to know someone that says, hey, you know what? I know the person that needs to go to. And they said, and they took it straight to them, and they have it. And so now it's a waiting game. But regardless of that, I feel like I would still like to have my own concept of shooting a music video for that.
Yeah.
So, but
now, if they were to eventually pick it up, is that something you still could have creative control over and play around with, or?
Yeah. And I tell you why, because there's artists that they use the music on the film production, but they don't own the song. They're licensing the song.
Gotcha.
And let's say that, Kevin Palmer's got the train song, right?
Yeah.
And he comes out. Well, someone listens to the song and they say, hey, we want that song in Yellowstone. Well, then they'll just place the song, the sync license in the show. So it's in the show about whatever scene. Somebody says, hey, Siri, who sings that song? It pops up. They see the video. Then they're watching Kevin's video. So it's a sync license at that point.
Yeah, you need to get a visual.
I can still have creative control over the song, but if they like the song, they can use it in the production.
I think putting a visual together for that ASAP is very important.
Literally, in this song, there's one percussion, one acoustic guitar, a slide on the same acoustic guitar, and then a steel brush on a couple of the strings. That's the only, it's literally like a movie soundtrack. And shout out to Kevin Palmer. I feel like this song is the most influential song different that I could ever have written my entire career so far. I'm so proud of this song, and I can't wait for everyone to hear it.
I can't wait for me to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, that is really, really exciting.
Yeah.
Tell me how you met Miss Barbara,
So
who may be your second largest fan.
I'm telling you, she most definitely is. So we'll go back even further before how I met Barbara, through a guy named Chris Hensel, who played Jib Stewart Duke on the Dukes of Hazzard.
Okay.
And so I met him through a good friend, which is also friends with Swing Around, Kenneth Mahan,
Yeah, I know Kenneth.
Hazard Life organization.
Mhm.
And I had done some work with Kenneth Mahan. Great family, him and Gloria. Grimy, big shout out. Hey, hey. And they're going to like that. And Chris wrote this script for a movie called Salvage Yard Shine Boys.
I just saw my first ad for it like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about that
Yeah.
for you guys.
Thanks, man. And so Chris said, man, I got a part in this film. I want you to be in this film. I said, man, I'd love to be in the film, right? I'm just playing a musician, right? Extra, I got like 1-2 lines. I'm singing a song in the background, right? So they got this guy that's going to be in the film, who in real life wrote like 5 songs with Johnny Cash. So he's playing the musician figure. He's got like 30 lines. The morning of production, he has a certified letter delivered to Chris that says, hey, I want 5 times the money to be in this film, or I'm not coming to set. And they've got $250,000 worth of equipment set up, ready to film his scenes today. He's trying to strong arm them due to his attorney saying, well, they can't do this film without you because you're such a prominent figure.
Right.
So I'm there, and Kenneth says, hey, Chris, you know, Clayton's done a lot in music industry already in his career. Why don't you use him in this film, right? So he says, hey, let's, and Barbara, I don't know her. She comes up and she said, tell me your name. I said, I'm Clayton Q. She said, okay, Clayton Q. She said, how do you feel about getting more lines today? I said, I feel pretty good about that. And she said, well, how's like 30 lines? I was like, you know, I could do it. Can I, you know, and they hand me a script book. I went from having a page to like a book. Said, you got 20 minutes, right? And I'm like looking at these lines. We're going to do this scene and I'm going to read this. I said, can someone stand off camera and just recite the lines and I'll say? And he said, yeah, we can do that. So they literally had a computer. They put in my names on these lines and they print out a new script for the director and the producer and me in 20 minutes. So then I've got pages of my name on it, right? And we filmed the scenes that day and it went off without a hitch. And I'm doing it, literally doing 3-4 takes. And they're like, the first take was good. You know,
These are just extra.
The guy who's the director of filmography and photography on this, Gary Bozek, he was like, really honestly, the first take's good. He's like, you're good, man. You're golden. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. They're having the dialogue with other people. They come back over and they're like, all right, we need to shoot this, but this scene hasn't happened yet over there, but you need to speak to it like it happened. I didn't know what happened. I didn't read their lines, but I said it how I thought it should be delivered. And it was perfect, right?
You're a natural.
So, man, it was, I mean, I was excited about it, but I was like, yeah, all right, here I am. As the world turns, here I come, you know, daytime drama, but it was really cool. So proud to be a part of that film and that project.
I can't wait to watch it.
And so at the end of the day, Barbara was like, hey, you did really good. And I'm intrigued by you. I want to learn more about you. I said, I want to learn more about you too. It's classic. Can we be friends? She's like, yeah, let's be friends. And so we're working in a professional manner on the film set, but we grew to be friends. And so she called me and said, hey, they're actually shooting in Texas and they have more scenes, the rest of that script. Can you have a problem coming to Texas? I said, no, when should I come? And she's like, can you fly out tomorrow? So literally the next day I flew to Texas, and me and her, you know, as well as many other people, but on a professional level, we grew to know one another, and we became friends, and learned that both of us have such a huge life out of the film industry, music industry, charity work, philanthropy, you know, so many things that we enjoyed doing, that it was strictly like, hey, your soul and my soul are one of the same, right? We like doing these things. Let's put our heads together and see what we can accomplish together.
Yep.
And literally it's turned into, hey, Barbara's the person that I can call and say, hey, I've got this idea. Tell me what you think. And she's, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea. Or hey, think about things this way. She has such a light in her brain that she can open up the eyes in your mind to think about things in a completely different way.
Yep.
To help you or save you from something, right?
She is one of the sharpest individuals I have ever met.
She is.
I'll tell you, she is scary intelligent.
She is.
And when she kind of adopts you as a person, which she does to certain people,
she does.
You're just part of her tribe, man. Just get used to it.
Yeah. In fact, when I was in Texas, and you were coming through, I said, hey, I want to connect you.
Yeah, I drove and met her at Tom Burkett's.
The Songbird, right?
Yep. So I went and met her over there and had lunch. And she grilled me over an idea of mine at the time. And at the end of it, she said, I only asked you the questions that I asked you because somebody else was going to ask you similar questions down the road, only in a lot less nice way.
Yeah.
So I did this to help you try to learn and think outside the box. And at that point, I was like, wait a minute. I need me a Barbara on my team.
Right.
Let me tell you. So anytime I'm with her, man, like you said, it's like a meeting of the minds.
Yeah.
She'll start talking about things and I start talking about things. I'm telling you, if you don't know Barbara, you better go meet you a Barbara and hope it's the one we know.
I hope it is. She's great.
She is.
Yeah.
Spectacular. Last but not least, Twang and Round. How did you meet them? Was that a Kentucky?
Yeah, you know, Twang and Round, Kentucky boys. I'm a Kentucky boy.
Did you grow up near Bowling Green?
About 80 miles west of Bowling Green.
Ah, okay.
But I knew who they were. And Lake Gregory is in our hometown or home area, Muhlenberg County.
Gotcha.
And it's the place where people go to ride ATVs and camp and go mudding on 1,500 acres, right?
Yeah.
And they have a stage there, and they have summer events, and they have one in the fall called Mudfest. And so during my time, I'm growing in my career, and someone reaches out to me and says, hey, we want to have hometown boy Clayton Q. We want to have you play at Mudfest. And I'm playing with Charlie Bonnet, which he's at Josie Awards. We're good friends to this day. Demon Jones.
There we go.
And Twang and Round and Clayton Q. And we're all four on the headline. And
that's a show I'd pay to go watch today.
It was thus on Friday night. On Saturday night, it was Cypress Spring, Lenny Cooper, and Charlie Farley.
Yep.
It was a great star-studded lineup for country and country rap, right?
Yeah.
So, but it was really the first time that I had known Twang and Round because Kenneth Mahan had introduced us on the phone. But Vernon Twang, Country Twang, he said, hey, we got to talking prior to the show earlier on that day, and we found out we had so many similarities. And he said, you know, Kenneth's trying to get us together, and I see why. And Twang said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, you know, Clayton, we were cut from the same cloth. And I had never heard that term before, but I understood it. And he said, we both cut from the same cloth, and we're doing similar things. We're at different points in our career, but whatever we've done has led us to this exact moment. And he said, I can't wait to see what we do in the future, right?
Yeah.
So
those guys really believe in your journey.
Man, I love them. Later on that year, right, they were next year, they were planning the Kinfolk Cruise, Big Smo.
Yeah. And
we had went in the spring and performed at Big Smo's St. Jude's benefit in McMinnville, Tennessee at Cowboy Up Bar and Grill, right? He had it every year down there. He had something at the Caverns, and he had to have a follow-up after party at Cowboy Up. So we wanted to perform on the cruise, and he was gonna try to help us, get on there with the talent buyer.
Right.
And I saw where Twang and Round was going to be on there, and I reached out to Twang and said, "Hey, man, we're trying to get on this cruise." And Twang was like, "Oh man, you guys would be great on the cruise." He said, "Hold on a second," and he calls on three-way, and he calls the guy that's over the cruise. Says, "Hey, Greg, they've got this guy Clayton Q, and really good, really great artist. I'm gonna send you stuff." And he's like, "Oh, I know Clayton Q." He said, "I got his email right here from his EPK." And Twang said, "We need to book him to come on the cruise because he would fit in really good." And he said, "Yeah, I will." And he said, "Hold on a second. Smo's calling me." He puts us on hold. He comes back 2 minutes later. He said, "You never believe the call I just got." Big Smo called and said, "Hey, you need to look up Clayton Q and get him on the cruise." So it all happened at the same time, the same minute that Twang and Smo were speaking for me.
That's a God thing.
So that's such a God thing, man. And so,
I don't care how you look at it. That is divine intervention if I've ever seen it inserted into somebody's life.
Smo and Twang and Round, Brad, we're such all good friends, man, to this day. And I'm so thankful to have them also as mentors and brothers in the music industry.
Yeah.
And brothers in life too. There's such great positive influences and personalities in my life and career. So
I draw so much inspiration from everybody we just talked about in this little snippet here. I mean, like every single one of these folks is absolutely outstanding. You will not find more humble, kind, personable individuals. And I'm so lucky to know all of you people.
Man, lucky to know you, man. Felt very blessed and fortunate to have you as a friend above anything.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, man.
Well, look, we got 2 more. I mean, really, that's a lie. There's like 17 more questions, but I'm not going to ask them because we're
you know what?
We're almost at 3 hours.
In 2024, I'd like to come back and be on your show again so we can revisit some of the things we talked about today and talk about some of the new projects we have.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, then now's your chance to plug anybody, any organization, anybody you want. Another Furman shout out, perhaps.
Hey, I want to give a big shout out again. My name's Clayton Q, country independent music artist. And I want to give a big shout out to my tour sponsor, Furman Power Equipment. If you use the promo code ClaytonQ30, you get 30% off any purchase in your cart for 2 years. All the products, brand new, come with a 3-year warranty. That's more than any other manufacturer in the United States for any product revolving around generators.
Look out.
So
now.
You need to check that out. I want to give a big shout out to the Glock store, Lenny McGill, Dan Jones. Thank you for my piece, my Glock 43X. I really enjoy taking that with me and use it for personal protection and pleasure out at the range, target practice. It's really fun piece of equipment that I highly respect and enjoy. And there's going to be a time in the future when, if you want to come to the Nashville warehouse and go through the range or one of the courses that you can go through a guided class with Clayton Q.
There you go.
So that'll be super cool.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. Big shout out to ATMOS Live for having me on today. I highly recommend any artist, independent artist, major artist in any industry that you're in, whether you're in the music industry or not, you need to get involved with this company as soon as possible. It's growing at an exponential level. And I really feel that ATMOS has the tools, the mindset, the capability, and the driving force, not only in the entertainment industry, but in the working industry to really help grow you as a person, as a personality, or your business. So big props and shout out to you, James.
I'm not sure how much I owe you now for that. I just don't think I have the capital. Well, I really, really, really appreciate, 1, you taking the time to come today. 2, for you always being the same person on and off camera since the day I met you.
Thank you.
For those of you that don't know, I'll include this snippet. This man, I decided once upon a time that I wanted to throw some concerts, which I may revisit one day in the future. But however, this man took his time. He didn't owe us anything at all. Stopped what he was doing, found us a place to hold the concert, found us individuals that were interested on jumping on board and being a part of it. This guy didn't know me from Adam. He just knew someone that I knew really well. I got the cosign. He said, "You know what? I'll be there." He was the first one there. Okay. When Clayton says he's going to be somewhere and do something, you can chalk it up to he's going to be there on time, probably before. He's going to do a great job. You will not get a better performance out of someone. He'll be wherever you are in the venue. Clayton will come by and he'll check you out while he's singing. I'm telling you.
All right. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Man, will you be careful? And we'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, James. Had a great time today.
Yes, sir.